Dog Works Radio is sponsored by Alaska Dog Works. Check out their website at alaskadogworks.com.
Did you know that we offer a cool program called the Adventure Dogs Club? It's sort of like Scouts for your canine buddy, and they can earn badges for stuff like camping, canine first aid, and even hiking. You can learn more about it on our website at alaskadogworks.com. Today, we are talking about hiking with your dog. And have no fear, even if it's not summer where you live, you can still get out and enjoy the trail with your canine buddy.
From First Paw Media, sponsored by Alaska Dog Works Professional Canine Training Center in Anchorage, Alaska. This is Dog Works Radio, committed to families and their dogs to build lifelong and fulfilling relationships. Visit our website at dogworksradio.com. Now here are your hosts, Robert and Michelle Forto.
Hello and welcome to Dog Works Radio. I'm your host, Michelle Forto. I'm also the lead trainer of Alaska Dog Works, where we help you develop the best relation possible with your dog. Today on the podcast, we are talking about some tips and tricks for hiking with your dog. Hiking is a fantastic exercise and a perfect way to enjoy nature. So it's understandable that you would want your dog to join you on the trail. Dogs make great companions, and watching them revel in the sights, sounds, and smells of nature is invigorating. However, just as you wouldn't head out for a hike in dress shoes, there are considerations to be made for your dog. Do you have all the necessary hiking equipment for your dog? Have you learned hiking etiquette? You might also want to brush up on some dog training skills. Before you hit the trail with your dog, make sure you're well equipped to ensure a wonderful experience in the outdoors for both you and your canine buddy. Let's talk about hiking with dogs etiquette. First, don't always assume your dog is welcome to hike everywhere you are. For example, you might wonder, are dogs allowed in national parks? Thankfully, many national parks do welcome dogs, but many have restrictions about dogs on the trail. Always check if your dog is allowed to accompany you before you set out on a hike. If not, you might find yourself encountering a stiff fine, not to mention the anger of fellow hikers. Banning dogs from parks may seem arbitrary, but keep in mind that your dog can have an impact on the environment by putting wild animals at risk and invading delicate ecosystems. So before you hit the trail, it's your responsibility to learn about the rules of each place you take your dog. When it comes to national parks, there are general pet rules, but each park may have its own additional rules as well. Other wilderness areas like state parks and local forests will also have their own regulations. It pays to practice the National Park's BARC rule wherever you hike with your dog. BARC stands for Bag Your Pet's Waist, Always Leash Your Pet, Respect Wildlife, Know Where You Can Go. The first BARC rule, pick up after your dog, is important hiking etiquette. You might think your dog's waist is a natural part of the cycle of life, especially in more remote locations. However, it can cause problems for local creatures and can even impact the water supply. The second BARC rule should apply in almost every hiking situation. Keeping your dog on a short leash is important for safety, courtesy, and control. Not every fellow hiker is comfortable with dogs, and there may be other dogs on the trail who aren't as friendly as yours. Finally, an off-leash dog can disappear out of sight, and if you can't see what your dog is doing, you can't prevent them from getting into trouble, like encountering a skunk or eating something dangerous. If there are off-leash areas where you are hiking, only let your dog run free if you have verbal control of your dog. And you can see your dog at all times. And you've worked on a reliable recall. To protect plant and animal life, always keep your dog on the trail, except when encountering others. Then step off the trail with your dog at your side to let people pass safely. Lastly, don't forget to greet others on the trail, as a cheery hello may signal that your dog is friendly and informs your dog that there is no need for concern. Safety when hiking with dogs. Keeping your dog safe during a hike should always be a top priority, and the first step is making sure your dog is fit enough for the task. Check with your vet to learn what your dog can handle, as some dog breeds make better hiking partners than others. Be particularly cautious with young and old dogs, as they might not be able to keep up with you on long, challenging hikes, and the burden on growing bones may be too much for puppies. Hiking in overly hot weather should be avoided, as dogs are much more susceptible than humans to the dangers of excessive heat. It's also essential that you take water for your dog. Dogs don't sweat the way humans do. Panting is their main method for keeping cool, putting them at higher risk of overheating than you when on the trail. Plus, if you don't bring water for your dog to drink, you risk your dog drinking from ponds, streams, or standing pools of water, which can carry a high risk. Unknown water could be contaminated with parasites, bacteria like leptospirosis, or other pathogens that can make your dog very ill. You and your dog may also be venturing into flea and tick territory on your hikes. Consider using a vet-approved flea and tick preventative, and be sure to examine your dog for ticks carefully when you get off the trail. It is also helpful to know how to remove a tick from your dog, as early removal helps reduce the chance of a secondary illness. A bath or grooming session post-hike will allow you to check for invaders, as well as burrs, foxtails, and other debris caught in your dog's fur. Here's some training tips for hiking with dogs. An important part of hiking safety and etiquette is having a well-behaved and properly socialized dog. Be sure your dog at least knows the basic obedience skills, like come, sit, and stay. Walking politely on a leash is another key behavior. Your dog doesn't need to heel along the trail, but the point of hiking isn't to be dragged through the woods. In case you accidentally drop the leash or your dog's collar breaks, you should be prepared with a reliable verbal recall. You can't keep your dog safe if you can't keep your dog in sight. Some additional behaviors to work on include leave it and a quiet cue to curb barking. From poison ivy and animal waste to other hikers' trash, there are many dangers on the trail that could seriously harm your dog. A strong leave it cue will ensure your dog doesn't eat or mess with anything hazardous. And stopping any excessive barking will help keep your patch of nature as peaceful as possible. What about hiking equipment? Finally, for a truly enjoyable hike, you should come prepared with appropriate dog hiking gear. Some suggested items to bring with you include poop bags, dog collar with ID tags and a sturdy 6-foot leash, water supply and a portable water bowl, dog food and or treats and snacks, pet first aid kit, pet safe insect repellent, dog booties for hiking in rough terrain. And that about rounds it out for our tips for getting out on the trail with your canine buddy. But did you know? At Alaska Dog Works, we offer a free discovery call to see if we're a good fit to work together with your dog. We even offer virtual training classes. Did you know that delivering a class online can be more effective than in person? Why? Because we can use the power of many multimedia tools like Community, video, and podcasts that will help you reach your goals. And it works. So what do you think? Did you learn anything new about hiking with your canine buddy? Before we end the show, let's press pause for a sec. Maybe ask yourself, why did this resonate with me? What aspect of my relationship with my canine buddy could I apply this to? And what am I going to do differently this week to make my dog's training a little easier? So take some time to mull it over, talk it out with a family member or trusted friend, Put some ideas down in your training journal and then check back next week for our next episode. As always, I look forward to hearing your thoughts, so reach out over on X at First Paw Media and let's spark a conversation. Until then, keep going. You're doing great. It's time to create the relationship with your dog that you've always dreamed of. Thanks for listening to DogWorks Radio. You can find the show notes for this episode and all others at alaskadogworks.com. If you know someone in your life who needs help with their dog's training, be a hero and share our podcast with them. And we will see you next time.
From First Paw Media, this is DogWorks Radio. We hope you enjoyed this podcast, and we invite you to subscribe in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll find a link on the episode notes. You can tap or swipe on the episode cover art, and you'll see some offers from our sponsors. You can support our show by supporting them. If you like what you have heard, we would love it if you could give us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe too. Your hosts are Robert and Michelle Forto. Our producer is Robert Forto and created for First Paw Media.